glad I'm filming this video about a week after the buying a house announcement video went up, because had I filmed it the next day, it would have been a little more circa 2012 Taylor Rance style. So I'm answering all of your questions from that video, talking about some things that I left out, filling in some blanks from the last video. Also doing this makeup look. I tried out some new makeup and then also just used some favorites from Sephora. And I wanted to thank Sephora for sponsoring a portion of today's video. That's so exciting. Truly feel honored. I did some gift shopping for people, my mom, my boyfriend. In the other room right now. Got some fragrance sets because there are some killer deals on fragrances right now. But right now until December 14th, it's the Sephora Gifts for All event. So basically you get 20% off. It's a one-time use code. With the code SAVE GIFTS, you can get 20% off your entire purchase, but then you can also actually stack it with another coupon code, which I feel like usually is pretty rare that you can do that, but you can actually stack it with the code QUICK GIFTS. You can get free same-day delivery. So whether you need gifts for people, you need to quickly stock up on something yourself, and the code QUICK GIFTS is a Beauty Insider exclusive. So make sure you're a member of the Beauty Insider program. I'll have the link to sign up down below. It's completely free, but it's just their like points reward system. Make sure you're a member so that you can apply those discounts at checkout. Also right now it's 30% off the entire Sephora collection. The lip I'm wearing right now from Sephora collection. Let me show you a couple of the gifts and stuff I got for people because I'm excited. I talked about this in another recent video, but I actually got this for my boyfriend for one of his gifts because he loves this shower gel. It's the Moroccan oil brand. I'm trying to talk quietly right now. This smells so freaking good. It doesn't smell like their perfume. I will say I have their perfume now and it smells different than the perfume. This smells more like the traditional like hair oil. It makes your bathroom smell amazing and it actually like keeps your skin moisturized, and I feel like the scent lingers on your skin nicely as well. I picked up this one for, well, I actually got two from this brand, and then I'm gonna give this one to my mom because I think she'll really like it. This is the one I really like. So the one that I'm gonna be keeping for myself is the Harlem Perfume Co. Langston. This smells like sweet but classy to me. It says there's notes of tonka bean in it. Yeah, chocolate, orange brandy, and jasmine are the notes. This is like, I would wear this going out to dinner. This one from the same brand, but Showgirl, I think my mom's gonna really like. It smells more floral, and when I spray this, it just smells like right up her alley. The notes on this one are fizzy mandarin, lavender diva, and golden amber. I don't get amber vibes, to be honest. It smells more floral to me, but I think she's gonna really like this one. So this is the coolest freaking thing. If you haven't seen this, it's basically like this thing Sephora does where they have a full-size perfume option, but then also a smaller travel one where you pay $35. You get a bunch of little samples so that you can try a bunch of different fragrances, but then they actually give you a voucher in here to get the travel size. And a lot of these, like their travel sizes are more expensive than that, but I smelled this one in store, Commodity Milk Plus. I really liked this one. So it's basically just a way to try a bunch of different ones, but then also get a discount. But this would be a cute gift idea too. Last fragrance, you know, I'm in my fragrance era right now, but this set, I actually discovered this perfume in store. I was just sniffing a bunch of different perfumes and this one smelled so good. Dolce&Gabbana Devotion. There's so many good holiday sets on Sephora right now. Smells like a very spicy and citrusy at the same time. And then also picked up the Huda Beauty lip contour stain. I got the shade Soft Nude and I've been using this for the last like week or so. But this I use for like the very tippity top of my lip line and bottom edge. Then I put something else over it and it lasts, I want to say like, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours. If you're worried that something's gonna sell out, you can also buy online and pick up in store. I like doing that as well, especially if it says like limited stock available. And Sephora always has same day delivery options available as well. But everything, all the makeup, all the perfumes I just mentioned will be linked down below in the description box. I'll also pin a comment with all of the links there as well. And let's get into answering your questions. Did you guys see the TikTok about the glass straw? Whoa. As you can see, daybed behind me is MIA because moving has begun in this office. I have a pile of pillows behind me and a maybe dog to my right. Filming assistant hard at work down there. This had super good reviews on Sephora, so I'm curious about this one. Makeup Forever Super Boost. It's a skin tint, which is pretty much what I like to wear on a daily basis now in the shade 5. I have self-tanner on right now, so I'm hoping this will be a good shade match. Might be a little bit dark right now because it's still developing. Then I'm gonna try it with the Sephora 40 Pro Foundation Brush. This is extremely soft and it definitely is on the more dense side. Honestly, this could even be good for like cream bronzer. Okay, let me get in the zone here. We've got a lot to talk about. I've never seen packaging like this before. Yeah, it's literally just looking like skin. Like I can't even really see the product on my skin. So if you missed the last couple videos, I did 2 different big announcements like back to back. First was that we're moving to Texas. I'm not going to talk through like things I've already covered. So if you want to know why and hear more about that, you can watch this video. And then back to back, I posted a second announcement video sharing that we bought a house in Houston and we're renovating it. It is sitting really nicely between my eyebrows. I didn't share all of the details or like fill in all of the holes in that video. So it makes sense why there were some big feelings and questions and things on that video. So I'm gonna answer your questions. I screenshotted a bunch from that video and then also over on Instagram, on YouTube. When you share something, especially like bigger news, it's always a fine line of how many details do you give? How much do you want to share? I keep a lot of stuff in my life private for that reason, because you're just like opening a can of worms basically. You know, anytime the more details you give, the more you are open to people's interpretations, comments, all of that. I get that if I heard someone else saying that they bought a house sight unseen from another state with their non-married spouse, that you might have some questions. This will definitely be in my 2025 favorites, the Estee Lauder Double Wear. Full coverage doesn't crease badly on me. So I know that 99% of you who have followed me for a long time have seen different, you know, phases of life and everything. I know that you guys, for the most part, understand my brain. And if I'm doing something, like, I can be spontaneous, don't get me wrong. I am pretty spontaneous, but I also am logical and I think things through. I can overanalyze things. I definitely do my research. I look at the numbers. Like, I'm not someone who just jumps into, especially financial things. I'd like to think I'm pretty responsible with my financial choices. I'll jump into the actual house and why we did move forward with it in a couple minutes, but I did want to just address a couple of these comments about please be careful buying a home with a non-spouse. Things can get very complicated. Other people basically saying that, like, when are you getting married? Buying a house with someone, you know, before you're married, blah, blah, blah. Whether it be with my career, houses, relationships, I cover my bases, okay? I am not a lawyer, but I definitely work with lawyers. Like, every brand deal that I do goes through a legal team. I've said for years that no matter who it was before I got married, I would always do a prenup, because I think that's just like the smart thing to do. Instead of just going with the contract of the state that you're getting married in, a prenup, basically, you're just like making your own agreement together. So before buying this house together, we did consult a lawyer and ended up getting something called a cohabitation agreement. It's basically just like, especially in Texas, there's common law marriage. Yeah, there were just a lot of people concerned about that aspect of it. I know my relationship. I know where we stand, I'm confident in us, and I know what's coming in the future. And that's all I'll say on that. I think it's 2025. There's people who have babies before they're married. There's people who buy houses before they're married. There's people who get married that shouldn't have gotten married and then buy a house together. So I think, like, I don't know, to me, as long as you feel good about a decision you're doing and you're legally covering your bases, I see nothing wrong with buying a house together before you're married if you are on the same page about everything in the future. I want to try this Yummy Skin by Danessa Myricks blush in the shade Jubilee. I remember trying this like a couple years ago in a different shade, and I remember it being very long lasting. If you want another good long lasting blush, I have 3 different shades of this, but my favorite is Strawberry Cream, super long lasting. I actually might try this same foundation brush, but for bronzer. I also think marriage doesn't like define the next steps in your life. It's more about the actual relationship that you have. I personally feel like pretty chill about the whole marriage thing because I know where we're at. If I didn't know where we were at, then I think, yeah, that would be, you know, alarm bells would be going off. But like my boyfriend's parents, they actually didn't get married until they moved from Canada to the US. Not to say we don't want to get married, we do. I just don't feel the need to like go by whatever society necessarily says is the order that you need to do things. Also, just an FYI, because I think it's interesting, and obviously I'd never done this before. A cohabitation agreement, like you literally go through every scenario. They ask very detailed questions, so you have to, it's a good like communication exercise too, because you have to think through these things and make sure you guys are on the same page about what would happen in those scenarios. Okay, so let's talk about the house and answer some of the top comments that I saw. I actually really like this for bronzer. This looks like a very pretty peach, but like deeper peach, like a little bit holiday peachy. In the next clip, the makeup you're about to see looks different because I'm rewinding in time because I had to pop this clip in here to make it flow. So I talked through the whole process of buying the house in the last video, but we are renovating the house, which is something that I've been looking forward to doing for literally years now. So I am super excited about it. I'm excited to have a project, and I like logistics. I like organizing things. So I'm excited for it, and just to like learn the process. I really want to learn like the ins and outs of remodeling. I think it'd be something fun to continue to do in the future. I'm not saying this to brag, I'm just saying this because it relates to what we're talking about. But I own 2 different rental properties. One that I first lived in, a condo in Seattle that I rent out. I say that because when you deal with rentals and issues naturally come up, things break, you need to repair things, there's accidents, there's like insurance claims. And on both of my properties, I've had some crazy shit happen that you just learn how to deal with and roll with, because that's the name of the game. And when you go through those things, like you just learn how to navigate it. And I think you become a little bit less risk adverse. I've tried to say that so many times. I think you could go 2 ways. One, you deal with it and then you're like, I never want to deal with this again. Not for me. I just want to go back to owning my own home or renting, either one. Or you're like, okay, I learned how to deal with that. Cool, wasn't like that big of a deal. Things come up. It's just part of it. For me, I kind of came out on the end of like, it's just part of it. I actually don't mind it. Like, I obviously don't want anything, you know, you don't want to have to repair anything, but if something comes up, I'm definitely fine with like fixing it and just moving on. All right, let me read this comment. And this is actually from someone who I've seen her comment a lot. She comments sweet things. So I don't want anyone to be like getting on the people who left some of these comments. By the way, let me just say, I did really appreciate those of you who took the time to DM me or comment super sweet things on the last couple of videos. Like, I'm not dismissing that there were tons of positive comments, and I really appreciated those. But anyways, this person says, wow, this sounds insanely stressful. Also, buying a house, never seeing it yourself is crazy work, girl, LOL. I wouldn't trust anyone to do that, especially since the first people that made an offer recanted. That would be a major warning to me that they found something wrong with the house. And it sounds like a bunch of stuff is about to break. Like, why would you buy this house? Here's my response to that, because I think this kind of summed up, you know, some other thoughts and comments that were frequent. I think to each their own, right? Like I said, everyone has a different level of risk tolerance. I think a lot of people would see a house that potentially needs a new roof in a couple years or needs a new water heater or whatever and be like, whoa, that's too much. I just want something like ready to roll. The previous buyers, you never know like where people are coming in at. Their offer could have been the very top of their budget. And then when they did inspections and saw that there were some things that needed fixing, that probably pushed them out. We actually did the most inspections. Like, we did all the extras because I just like to be safe. So we did the basic home inspections, but then we also did a separate mold test. Mold came back totally good, just like normal levels. We did pest, and we added the sewer scope like I talked about in that last video. This house is much below our means. I don't ever want to buy a house that's like at the top of my budget. That would just stress me out. I like to be a little like modest with finances. So this house is way below our budget, which I feel very thankful for, that we were, you know, able to do all of this. But at the price that we were able to get it at, the resale value after remodeling, like, we went through all of the numbers, added extra to our budget for unexpected repairs because things always come up. Like, even with all of that, it still made sense for us to buy. The repairs are within our budget, and for resale, it's ideal, right? For us to be the ones to fix the big ticket stuff so that when we sell, the next buyers know that there's a brand new roof, there's a brand new water heater, like those kinds of things they're not going to have to replace for a while. For those who missed this part of the story, we are in Oregon. We bought the house in Texas, so we physically didn't go see the house. We bought the house technically sight unseen, but not really, because my boyfriend's family went to view it multiple times for us. Our agent went to view it multiple times for us. We did like thorough FaceTimes. Jay's parents are very meticulous, and had they not been, I wouldn't have bought it sight unseen, right? Like, I felt confident in them because I know the way their brains work, and I trusted them to point out, I mean, they pointed out like things that were beyond. So would I have bought a house sight unseen if we didn't know anyone in that state? No, personally, I wouldn't have felt comfortable with just the agent, but I know that there's people who do that and it works out totally fine. For some people, the thought of buying a house sight unseen is like absolutely insane, crazy. You could never imagine it for yourself. And other people, if you have the right people that you trust throughout the process, I think like there's people who are fine with it, clearly. I'm gonna use the Huda blush filter palette. This is new and I think it's limited edition, but it's in the shade Baby Pink. This was sold out online, so I actually did the same day delivery. Oh my gosh, this packaging, beautiful. I think I'm just gonna take a mix of these. It looks like this one is like a shimmery shade. Okay, this person has a lot of different points. Basically, the stress associated with moving, how it will affect my body, pressure to do renovations, and moving to an area that maybe wouldn't be my first choice. So let's talk about just the renovations and stress and my body, that side of it. So I didn't mention this in that last video, but the house is fully livable right now. It's not like we're doing like a total tear down. It's all just cosmetic renovations. So that means that we don't need to, like, there's no pressure, there's no timeline. It's really just whenever we want to do the renovations, we can do, okay, the sun's pouring in. We can do a little at a time. We're not doing everything all at once. I think that would be overwhelming. Like if we had to, you know, do all these renovations at one time before we moved in or whatever, like that, okay, I could see that would be stressful. We are not doing that. We're doing, for the most part, one area at a time or like a couple small things at a time. And because we bought the house like a month and a half, 2 months before we are actually going to be in it, that also helped because we were able to get a lot done remotely. And in a different video, I'll talk through like the things we've done so far, but there's a lot of obviously like logistics, paperwork, just different things to set up when you buy a house. And so because we've had 2 months essentially to get that stuff in order and also just like find subs, do research, ask people, get quotes, like we've done a lot already just before we've even gotten there. So that's taken a lot of the stress out of it. We're on our own timeline. And I'm not saying that I'm like naive to the fact that some of it might be stressful. I think that's just like probably part of it. I can adjust accordingly. I think I'm gonna take on the same brush, the shimmery shade. I do wanna add a little bit. Glow. Ooh. On the body note that she mentioned, we're in a small town right now. I've had to travel outside of where we live every 6 to 8 weeks to get care for something. So I wouldn't be worried about that side of it. Houston has a massive medical scene. If anything, it'll be making my life much easier because there's more doctors, less wait time, good hospitals. And then as far as the, you know, moving to an area I'm not really keen on thing, like I talked about in the last video, like I'm focusing on the good, okay? I've traveled a lot and there's things about most places that are good and not so good. I talked all about the pros and cons, but mostly pros that I'm looking forward to in Houston. And that's what I'm focusing on. I'm flexible. I know we're gonna have a lot of fun and it'll just be a new adventure. If I was really against it, we wouldn't be moving, okay? It's not like he's like forcing me to move to Texas. If I wasn't open to it, we would not be going. And we've had many discussions about this. It wasn't like a quick impromptu thing. And I know it kind of maybe seemed like that with just the way that it, you know, that video, the moving announcement, and then back to back was the house announcement. I know it was like a lot of big news at once, but for us, these are things that we've been talking about, going through everything for the past over 6 months, probably closer to like 8 months. Are moves themselves stressful? Yes, not gonna debate that. Like moves are for sure stressful. And that is entirely the reason why this time we were like, you know what, it's worth it to just pay for packers and not have to do that on my body. That's the way that we're making the move less stressful. A relationship is give and take and compromise, we all know. And yeah, like this comment is spot on. He moved away from his home, his family and friends to be here with me in Oregon without knowing anyone. And we both work remote. That's like the beauty of it, is both of us have remote jobs. That actually was a question from Instagram, is what does he do? He works in marketing for a tech company, so he can work remotely. So in that video, I talked about how this isn't like a permanent move. We plan to stay there for like 3 to 4 years and then go from there. And there were some comments about that. Like if our plan is to move there to foster community, why would we leave in 3 to 4 years? Here's the thing. We don't, maybe I shouldn't have even mentioned that, because anything I say on the internet, anything anyone says, like I'm just sharing my current thoughts. Things can always change. One thing I've learned in the last year is that you literally can never predict things. I have no idea what in the next 3 to 4 years what's gonna happen, what life's gonna look like. We could move to Houston, work on our house, have a good community. We could absolutely love it and not want to leave. Like that is very plausible. I just don't know because we're not there yet. And so the thought with the whole like 3 to 4 years thing is, and when we say that, I think it would be like probably closer to 4 years, honestly. But the thought with that is that we don't want to get pregnant and have kids in Texas. I know people do it every day, nothing wrong. I'm not, you know, judging you or anyone who has to do that or wants to do that. That's just like a personal, you know, personal thing for me. But like I talked about in that video, like I don't know if we will even be able to have kids and take care of kids with my body. So let's say, you know, my health is in a great spot in 4 years for the first time ever, freaking crossing all the fingers right now. And then we're like, all right, we're ready, you know, then we can evaluate, do we want to stay there and do that? Do we want to move somewhere else and have kids somewhere else? If my body is still in the dumps, then that might change things, you know, like if we're not in the spot to have kids yet, then that could change things. Maybe we stay in Houston for longer. This was just like a, you know, general, this is what we're thinking kind of thing, but things are subject to change. But the questions are valid. It's unfortunate that the place itself isn't where we would both want to live forever. If we have like a super solid community in the next few years, then yeah, it would be really hard to leave that, especially if like, you know, let's say his family's still there, his sister's still there, let's say she's having kids, like you just don't know, you know, you can't plan your life around other people's lives, but who knows? We go with the flow, see what makes sense in the moment. I probably shouldn't have shared the timeline thing that's just like in our heads with the internet, but I did. I've been using this Patrick Top palette every single day, like literally every day, these ones over here, and I love them. They're super pigmented, but they also blend out well. I want to do a red lip for the holidays, so I'm going to keep the eyes super simple and matte, so I'm just going to do kind of like a variation of what I do every day. What are you guys doing with your current home in Oregon? Are you selling, renting, or keeping when you guys move back in the next couple of years? We don't own this place right now. We're actually renting this place, and that was very intentional because I don't think personally it makes sense to buy in every single city. I think it really depends on where you're located. It didn't make sense to buy here because the housing is very expensive to buy where we live, and it was significantly cheaper to rent. It also was kind of weird timing with the market here because there was like a big boom maybe like 5 years ago, but things are still priced like very high after that boom, even though they're not selling, they're not like reselling crazy high anymore. So it just is a weird kind of middle thing happening here. So when we were looking at just like all the numbers, it didn't really make sense to buy. And we wanted to try it out because, like I said, this was the first time that we both had been, I mean, I had been here for a year before he moved here, but we also just wanted to make sure that this area specifically we wanted to stay in before we bought. I saw some comments about sewer scopes because I talked about the whole sewer scope fiasco in that last video. And I would say it was pretty split on like people who have never gotten a sewer scope on their house versus people who absolutely did a sewer scope before buying. I don't know, man. I think it is by far worth the $250 to have a sewer scope because like in our case, we were then able to get a credit back of like $4,000 related to just the sewer line. So the whole thing with sewer scopes is that it's preventative because you need to know that something is blocking the lines before the accident actually happens. Spoken from someone who had a huge sewage issue in my Seattle condo, not my fault, but it was the HOA didn't regularly do the sewer scope like they should have. My line was first to be hit, backed up, flooded the entire condo. So had they been regularly doing sewage scopes every couple years for a building of that size, my unit wouldn't have flooded. So the whole thing is that you need to be regularly doing them so you can hopefully prevent the accident before it happens. If you haven't had a sewage scope on your house in 25 years and you live somewhere where there's trees or roots, I would do it. But especially when you're buying a house, like I said, most good realtors will absolutely recommend that you do a sewage scope. One other thing I want to say, and I should have said this at the beginning, but I trust the people in my life. Like there's certain people in my life that I really trust their opinion of. Had I talked to my dad about this or my uncle who's been a realtor his whole life, had I talked to them and they both been against this idea or like, you know, thought of something that I hadn't thought of, like I would trust their opinion because I know them, I know they're smart, I know they're successful, and I just trust their opinions. If this was a bad idea, I would have known from people close to me. I really trust my dad's opinion. He's very cautious, he's very logical. My point being, I just feel confident in our choice, even though I know a lot of you watching maybe wouldn't have made the same choice. I'm just using the darkest shades to kind of smudge and create like a little liner. I think I am gonna put on some false lashes though. I'm really liking the skin tint. Do you find your decor style has changed since you've been in a relationship and since you've moved many times? I think my style changes depending on like where I am, just the vibe of the city and also the vibe of the actual apartment or house or whatever. Like this house is pretty modern, so I went with more of like modern decor and everything. Our Texas house is definitely more like traditional, which I'm really excited for. I actually love the look. Like my grandma lives in North Carolina. I love the southern kind of porches and more traditional like southern style. So I'm excited to do something different with this house. And in this place, as far as furniture and everything, because of the style that I'm going for, I'm excited because I'll be able to get a lot of it thrifted, hopefully. I want to do a lot of like furniture refinishing like I used to do, get back into that because I've always loved, I love painting furniture. My first viral video was how to paint your furniture without sanding. So I got this shade of the Sephora collection cream lip stain. This is in the shade 129. I have a couple different shades, not the 129, but a different shade of this. It used to be my go-to like red lip years ago. Very long lasting and affordable. Oh yeah, this is like a blue based red, so it's gonna make your teeth look really white. I never use a lip liner with a red because I just use the side of the liquid lipstick applicator. All right, lashes are on. Let me show you how transfer proof this lipstick is. Can you see that? So I'll answer a couple more questions from Instagram since so far all of them I think have been from YouTube. What washer dryer set did you decide on? Yeah, now you know why a couple months ago I was asking in-depth questions about washers and dryers over on Instagram. We did so much research on the whole washer dryer thing. I'll talk more about it in a future move-in vlog, but we actually ended up getting LG off of Facebook Marketplace, but they had just moved from Dallas and their set was under a year old. Looked like new, like the gasket, everything looks perfect. So they had literally just moved here from Dallas and then we're bringing the set right back to Texas. But yeah, we ended up saving like $1,000 by getting it off Facebook Marketplace. So will you ever come to Quebec? Yes. My boyfriend's from there. We've been planning on going next year, like in 2026, in either fall or winter time. I feel like winter in Quebec would be so cute with all the little cobblestones and lights and everything. How has moving in together been going? Any big challenges? I think the biggest challenge for me has been sleeping. I think for both of us, because I just have not been sleeping well in a bed with any other human. Like even when we just did the Eugene trip, there were multiple of us in one like studio Airbnb. I don't know why I've just become a very light sleeper in the last like year. But of course there's things that come up that you just have to, you know, learn how to navigate together. Certain things I've taken on fully, other chores he's taken on fully. And I actually think that's super nice because like I don't do the dishes anymore. And for me, that is so nice to not have to load and unload dishes. I do other things, but it's just nice to have a partner to like actually help out with, you know, household things. With all the new changes, are you skipping Christmas? No, so we're doing a 2-week road trip. So we leave mid-December, we're doing a 2-week road trip from here to Texas. We're stopping places along the way and just kind of trying to make it like a fun little road trip. So we timed it so that we'll be with my family in San Diego over Christmas. So we are staying there for like 4 days or so and getting to celebrate Christmas with my parents. That's also why I put up the tree super early. We'll have had the decor up for a month and a half by the time we have to move it out. I saw some comments on Instagram being like, why'd you even put up decor? I mean, you gotta enjoy. You still gotta enjoy. A month and a half is a month and a half. I think that's a pretty solid amount of time to enjoy some Christmas decor. Do we get to see an interior tour of your new house? There were a couple questions about this. So I'm not gonna be doing a full tour as in like walking around showing you the layout kind of tour. You'll see where I'm filming, you'll see before and afters. So you'll see a tour in that sense where you're gonna be seeing parts of the house. What are you looking forward to most in Texas that you don't currently have access to? I love a good like hookah hangout. It just reminds me of being in Jordan, and there's a lot of places that just have like Jordan kind of vibes to me. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for good food. I'm excited for easier access to healthcare. Do you / have you gone to therapy? I have. I'm currently in the process of finding a new therapist because when you move states, you have to find someone that's licensed. I didn't actually like my therapist here anyways. I would have found a new one either way, even if we hadn't been moving. But it's cool because Texas is actually a part of the like SI Pact, I think is how you say it, agreement, where if a therapist is licensed as part of that SI Pact thing, they're licensed in a bunch of different states and Texas is one of them. So they don't actually have to be located in Texas. Are you still learning French? I am. Let me show you my streak. I'm on Duolingo 362 right now. By the time you're seeing this video, I'll have hit my year on Duolingo. I will say Duolingo compared to taking actual language classes, I think the amount that you learn on Duolingo in a year is equal to literally about maybe a month, if less, of actual in-person language classes. So I'd say if you're trying to actually learn a language, Duolingo is good for like vocabulary, but that's about it. Also with French, like the Quebec French, there's different like dialect and ways to say different words than the French that's taught on Duolingo. So there's just some differences. I wish Duolingo had like the Quebec version that you could do, but we'll end on this little, not question, but just comment. I bought my house with my boyfriend before we got married. It all worked out perfectly. You got this. Yeah, I actually got a few messages from you guys saying that you also bought a house before you're married, and like everyone's on their own timeline. You know in your gut when something is right. So I feel good about it. We both feel good about it, and that's all that matters. But I'm gonna end it off there. Thank you guys for coming along on this journey. And I hope this video helped clear things up. Like genuinely, I hope this gave some insight and just made things make sense a little more. If not, that's fine too, because this is my life. But again, I'll have all of the Sephora products I used on my face and talked about linked down below in the description box. Right now until December 14th is their Gifts for All event, where you can get 20% off your entire purchase with the code SAVEGIFTS. That's a one-time use code, so make sure you got everything in your order before you check out. And then it can also be stacked with the code QUICKGIFTS for free shipping. So make sure you sign up for the Beauty Insider program. It's free so that you can apply those coupon codes at checkout. Excited to bring you along this next chapter. So I love you guys. Happy holidays. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.